Good day, students. This is the 2013 class test that I will be doing in this video, and I will do only question 1, and question 1 is out of 27 marks. It reads as follows: Inky and Blinky are the only two members of Pac-Man CC. The following balances appear in the books of Pac-Man CC on the 30th of September 2013, being the financial year. The trial balance of Pac-Man CC as at 30th of September 2013 is given below. We have, as usual, land and building 260,000 rands. That means there might be a revaluation. Vehicles accumulated depreciation, but to note, we have a retained earnings opening balance, members contribution. Again, the members contribution is combined. That means if we have to split it, we must be given the members interest to split that, the opening balance of the members capital contribution, members contribution. So now we have general reserve, and this is on the 1st of October. Please take that into account. 1st of October 2012, it is an opening balance, and we are given the loan accounts, and the loan accounts are also on the 1st of October in the year 2012 and 1st of October in the year 2012. That means all these are the opening balances. Then after, we have interest on the investment, which will not affect the statement of changes in equity for the close corporation. However, the interest that was received on a loan from 6,000 will affect our transaction with the members. And we also have our salaries that we paid, which will affect the transaction with the members, and another salary that will affect the transaction with the members. And we are given the net profit for the year, but before taxation expense was taken into account, the one of 300,000 rands, which indicate that tax must still be accounted for. Then after the trial balance, we have additional information, which the first bullet point says that Inky, Share and Blinky share the interest in the CC as follows: Inky 45% and Blinky 55%. The members' contribution on the 1st of October 2012 is based on these ratios. That means the members' contribution that we have seen in the trial balance, and that amounted to 300,000 rands, is based on those interests. Therefore, now we'll have to say multiply by 45%, and we multiply by 55% to get to the opening separate members contribution at the beginning of the year, 1st of October in the year 2012. Second bullet point says on the 1st of December 2012, being the current year, the contribution of members increased by means of the following: Inky contributed a new vehicle at the cost of 100,000 rands, and Blinky contributed additional cash to the close corporation to the value of 80,000 rands. So now these are the contributions that took place during the current year. Land and building were revalued at 300,000 rands on the 1st of August in the year 2013. So now this will be a revaluation surplus, because if we look at the trial balance, we are given the value of land and building as 260,000 rands on the 1st of October in the year 2012, which is the beginning of the accounting period. But almost at the end of the accounting period, we have the value of the land increased from 260,000 rands to 300,000 rands. It means 40,000 rands will be recorded as a revaluation surplus. Taxation expense, that was number 3. Bullet point number 4 says taxation expense for the year amounted to 84,000 rands. It means the profit that we have seen in the trial balance of 300,000 rands, we have to subtract 84,000 rands so that we get to the profit after tax, and the profit after tax will give you 216,000 rands after you have taken or deducted the taxation expense, which is bullet point number 4. Bullet point number 5 says a total of 20,000 rands must be transferred to the general reserve. So now that will have to be added or increasing our general reserve and reducing our retained earnings in the statement of changes in equity. Then bullet point number 6 says Blinky paid 15,000 rands to the Close Corporation in terms of the loan that was granted on the 30th of September 2013, and no additional loans were made to Blinky. So now that means there was no loan advance during the year, which was to Blinky. Then bullet point number 7 says the Close Corporation paid back 20,000 rands to Inc. in terms of the loan that was granted on the 30th of September 2013, and again no additional loans were made to the CC. So now it means there was no loan that was advanced from the member to the CC. So now it will only be the repayments in both cases. The last bullet point, which is bullet point number 8, says Inky and Blinky authorized a distribution of 150,000 rands of the net profit for the year. So now that will be a distribution which is going straight to the members, and that 150,000 rands will have to be recorded negative under the retained earnings, because we are transferring a portion from the retained earnings, and that gets to be distributed to the members of the Close Corporation. So now in the requirements, we are required to draw the statement of changes in equity for the CC, loan from members, loan to members, and interaction. Remember, interaction is transaction with members. All the expenses and the incomes that were paid and received to members or from members will be accounted under number C. Then after now, we start with the opening balance on the 1st of October, which is beginning of the year in the year 2012. And we know that at the end of the year it will be 30th of September in the year 2013, end of the accounting period. Then now we start with the opening balance. Remember, with regard to the members' contribution, we were told that the total contribution of members is an amount of 300,000 rands. Here is the total contribution that is combined. Therefore, now I said if you multiply 300,000 rands by 45%, that should give us an amount of 135,000 rands. So now we have to multiply that to give us the opening member contribution for Inky. So that will give you 135,000 rands, and this will give you 165,000 rands. So now this will be the opening balances for the members' contribution on the 1st of October in the year 2012. Then that will be 135,000 rands, and this will be 165,000 rands. Remember, the 45% and the 55% was given under bullet point number 1, where we were given the members' interest, Blink and Inky, 45% and 55% respectively. Then after we go to the second part of or still continue with the opening balance. Revaluation, surplus or reserve, we had no opening balance again here. However, general reserve, we had an opening balance of 60,500. Here is the amount of the general reserve, 60,500. I said take this as an opening balance because I know that the examiner wanted to test that side. So now we have 60,500 as an opening balance of the general reserve, and we record that as 60,500 rands. Retained earnings, we had an opening balance for retained earnings, and I think it was 30,000 rands. And here is the retained earnings opening balance, 30,000 rands, and we record that as it is under the retained earnings, and it should appear there as 30,000 rands positive. And the total of the total should give you 390,000 rands 500 if you have accurately recorded all the amounts. Then after, we have to account for the profit for the period. Remember, profit for the period must not be inclusive of tax. That means we have to subtract our tax expense, and we know that our tax expense under bullet point number 4 was 84,000 rands. So now we had to say in the profit before tax of 300,000 rands, the one that you see there, net profit before tax 300,000 rands minus 84,000 rands of tax, that gave us 216,000 rands. This is 216,000 rands, which is a profit after tax was taken into consideration. So now we record our profit after tax as 216,000 rands, and we also record the same amount under the totals. Then after we have additional capital, additional contribution, which is a member's contribution, and there was an adjustment that told us about the contribution, and that was bullet point number 2, where we were told that Inky contributed a new vehicle to the value of 100,000 rands, while Blinky contributed cash to the close corporation to the value or to the amount of 80,000 rands. So now we have 100,000 rands of the contribution and 80,000 rands of the contribution by Blinky. So now we record those two. Remember, capital contribution affects no other total except the one of the contribution, and under total will be 180,000 rands. So it only affects the column of the members' contribution, then only the total column. Then after we look for the transfer to the general reserve. So now I think there was also an amount that was transferred to the general reserve, and that was bullet point number 7. Okay, no, that's not number 7. It's bullet point number 5. Yes, bullet point number 5. A total of 20,000 rands must be transferred to the general reserve. So now here is the 20,000 rands that must be taken from the retained earnings to the general reserve account. So now we record that as 20,000 rands in the general reserve and negative 20,000 rands in the retained earnings, because money is taken from the retained earnings to the general reserve account. Then we'll have nothing under totals and other columns. Then after we have revaluation surplus. There was a revaluation of the land and building. Remember, the revaluation is when the land has appreciated or its value has increased, because most of the time land does not depreciate. Land and building does not depreciate most of the times. However, sometimes they do depreciate. So now we have land that was revalued to 300,000 rands. That means the value of the land and building increased from 300,000 rands, increased from 260,000 rands to 300,000 rands. Here was the value of the land and building at the beginning of the year, 260,000 rands, and it went up or increased to 300,000 rands. So now it means the difference will definitely be 40,000 rands. Then we just say 300,000 rands minus 260,000 rands. That will give you the revaluation of 40,000 rands. That will be recorded under the revaluation reserve and also under the total column. Then after we have distribution of profit, where the profit was distributed to members, and that was bullet point number 8, where the members authorized a distribution of 150,000 rands to the members of the closed corporation. So now that 150,000 rands is always must be recorded as negative under the retained earnings, minus 150,000 rands and minus 150,000 rands under the total column. So now we take that into account, then we put the brackets, and from there you can just give the totals of the totals, and this should give us 235,000 rands. This should give us 245,000 rands. This should give us 40,000 rands. This should give us 80,500, and this should give you 76,000 rands. This should give us 710. This should give us 676,500. So now this will be the total accurate amount in the statement of changes in equity. And remember, this amount will have to go to the statement of financial position if we were required to do such statement. Then that will be recorded under equity as 676,500. Then it will be statement of changes in equity retained earnings. Then after now we do the next requirements, of which the next requirement was to do the notes, which is a loan from a member, loan to a member, and interaction or transaction with members. For this one, it is very simple and it is very straightforward. And we know that most of such information, if not all of such information, will come from our trial balance. So now we are looking for the incomes and the expenses that were paid or received by the close corporation to the members or from the members. And we know that the interest that was received on a loan from, that will be income to the close corporation. Salary that was paid will be expense. Salary that was paid will be expense. Remember, a loan that was from a member, which is member Inc., had 0% interest. So now that means the close corporation will not pay any interest on the loan of 100,000 rands. However, remember the loans will still be accounted for as opening balances. So now we have to record the loans. Then after we go to the interaction with members. Opening balance of the loan, we have an opening balance of the loan sitting in the trial balance as an amount of 100,000 rands. Then I said that is an opening balance. Please take that as an opening balance. So now opening balance for that will be an amount of 100,000 rands, which is a loan from a member Inc., 100,000 rands. So loan from member Inc. Then after we check if was there any repayment of the loan. So now I think there was a repayment of the loan where the close corporation has to make a payment on a loan that was from member Inc. Now it says under bullet point number 7, the CC paid 20,000 to Inc. in terms of the loan that was granted on the 30th of September 2013, and there was no additional loan that was from this member. Therefore now it will be a repayment of 20,000 rands. Then that 20,000 rands will have to be negative, indicating that we are reducing the loan. So now it will be 20,000 rands of the payment, meaning that at the end of the year the loan will be sitting at 80,000 rands. Then after now we go and check the opening balance on a loan from Blinky, and a loan from Blinky amounted to an amount of 75,000 rands. Here is a loan from Blinky, 75,000 rands. So now I said take those as opening balances, don't forget. So now that will be a 75,000 rands opening balance. Then we check if was there any loan advance or loan repayment during the year. But definitely there was no loan advance because we were told so. It says under adjustment number 6 that Blinky paid 15,000 rands to the close corporation. So now that is immediately a repayment. We record that as a repayment negative, reducing the loan account. So now under repayment we immediately say minus 15,000 rands. Then we go and check what else do we have or can we see in this transaction. Blinky paid 15,000 rands to the CC on the loan that was granted 30th of September 2013, and no additional loans were made to Blinky during the year. So now there is no other loan. Then this was a loan on a member Blinky. Therefore now 75,000 rands minus 15,000 rands should give you 60,000 rands. Therefore now we have a closing balance of this loan as 60,000 rands. Then after we go to the transaction with the members, and transactions with the members are very clear and are very straightforward. We look at the expenses that were paid by the close corporation and we record them as negative, indicating outflow of cash. And we also look at the incomes that were received by the close corporation from the members and we indicate them as positive, indicating inflow of cash. So now from the trial balance we were told how much was paid to the members. the trial balance told us that there were payments of salaries to both members, which is Inky and Blinky, and both of them were 50,000 rands. And we know that a payment of the salary is an expense. Then we go under salaries, we record such amounts and we record both of them as outflow of cash. Under salaries paid, we say minus 50,000 rands and we say minus 50,000 rands. Then under total, you can just write your 100,000 rands. If the total column is not there, please don't create it. It's not much necessary. So now interest on a loan interest paid on a loan on loans, there was no interest the close corporation would have to pay. Why is that the case? It's because the interest on a loan that was from, or the interest on a loan that was from Blinky, which was supposed to be interest expense, there was 0% interest on that loan. So now the close corporation will not pay any interest on this loan because there is 0% interest. However, whenever the member took the loan from the close corporation, or whenever the close corporation gave a loan to the member, there was 8% of the interest out of that 75,000 rands. So now we are already given the interest that the CC received, which is interest received from a loan, and that is 6,000 rands, indicating income. And you can see that incomes increase on the credit side, and this is on the credit side of the trial balance. So now 6,000 will be recorded under the interest income. So now the one close corporation that pays, there is no payment here, but in terms of the receipt, there is a receipt of 6,000 rands being received on the interest on a loan that was given to a member, being member Blinky. So now with that, let me just write all the names of the members here on top, which is Inky and Blinky, so that we are clear that who receive what. So now with that being said, I will just end here with this exercise, a very short exercise. Thank you on my side.